No, what I'm saying is they already called him a weight bully. He beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss, an eye injury.
Yeah, so you can't say that he's not a Hall of Fame if he's beat world champions, you know.
And also, when it comes to being great, it's not about just becoming undisputed. It's how you become.
So even though Claressa Shields is widely considered the best female boxer of her generation, most experts and fans agree she would not beat Rolanda Romero in a real professional bout, and Shields herself has said she believes she could defeat Romero if given training and strategy, but analysts point out that a sanctioned fight between a male and female pro is extremely unlikely, and that physical differences such as strength, power, and male physiology matter in combat sports, and commentators like Shannon Sharp have argued that Romero's punching power and athleticism would probably lead him to stop Shields, and many in the boxing community view the idea of a man hitting a woman in a competitive fight as unrealistic, making the matchup more hypothetical than practical.
He fought in one division. He had a WBC,
he didn't fight about
WBA.
four. He wasn't undisputed. He wasn't undisputed.
He wasn't. No, what I'm saying is they already called him a weight bully. He beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss, an eye injury. He beat Sean Porter.
In all fairness, he had to go over there to get that.
You know what I mean? That's a good win. I'm still a fan. I hope he do well. But like, once it got to the point where I moved up in weight and I'm in the same weight as Spence, it's just like, oh man, you ain't fighting nobody. You this, you that, you this, you that. So now they trying to blemish my accomplishment just to boost him up. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna do that. Because I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. Everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him. I honestly don't know if he...
Errol Spence has again publicly targeted Terence Crawford, expressing his desire for another opportunity, and Spence reiterated that a rematch has not been ruled out and is still very much on the table. And even after coming up short the first time, he is convinced that the outcome will not define him. And Spence believes that with the appropriate tweaks and a sharper game plan, he can present a completely new version of himself and challenge Crawford in a follow-up fight.
You would rematch Errol Spence, or is he in a position where he needs to win again before that makes sense for you?
The possibility is there. He's fighting for Dora for his title. I'm fighting for a title, and there's the possibility. He win his fight, God willing. I win my fight, God willing.
Terence Crawford instantly called Errol Spence's rematch dreams with a scathing social media statement, and Crawford responded directly to Spence's challenge, saying there would be no immediate follow-up, and Crawford informed Errol Spence Jr. via tweet that he would have to take a number and stand behind others who were already waiting, and the message made it plain that Crawford has different priorities right now, informing Spence at any opportunity. Another but will require patience, and Crawford prioritizes other issues first. I don't want your reaction as an Errol Spence remix when it's able to know, alright, well, we're going to wrap it, I tried to tell you. And Terence Crawford's latest remarks on Errol Spence Jr. have sparked heated debate around the boxing world, attracting fans and analysts from all sides. And it is debatable if someone of Crawford's status should publicly trash another exceptional champion. And while some say that verbal attacks are a part of boxing culture, others argue that they are excessive and undermine the sport's values, and Stephen Hobbs jumped in to defend Spence, claiming that dismissing his resume was unwarranted, and he emphasized that Spence has continually fought top-tier competition, including a difficult and competitive match against Sean Porter, and according to Hobbs, Spence's track record speaks for itself, demonstrating that he is not only a unified champion, but also a proven high-level competitor who has challenged the division's best, and ignoring all discounting those successes he claims is not only wrong, it demonstrates a lack of appreciation for what Spence has accomplished in the ring.
Spence rematch on the table still, or?
Nah.
All right, we're gonna wrap it.
I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, cause he got old. Terence Crawford has been repeatedly praised for his talent and composure inside the ring since his victory over Errol Spence. However, the tone of his recent public statements has dampened this admiration, leaving many followers disappointed. And a rising number of people believe that an athlete of Crawford's caliber should be more humble, especially when talking about someone like Spence, who has left a respected and lasting legacy in the sport. And Ray Jackson expressed his dissatisfaction online, pointing out the irony by mentioning an earlier statement Crawford made about boxing fans, only to see Crawford accused of obvious disrespect for Spence, and that reaction reflected the mood of many fans. And boxing pundit Charlie Adult also weighed in, stating that while Crawford deserves credit for his decisive victory, his previous words have altered how some people regard him, and according to Showers, Crawford's performance in the ring inspired people to back him at first. However, those followers are questioning their support because of what they see to be needless and contentious outside of it.
Because he beat some notable names up there. You know, he beat Sean Porter, he beat LeBron Peterson,
Danny Garcia.
So you can't say that he's not a Hall of Famer if he's beat world champions, you know, and beat them like in a different way. So I don't agree with that answer right there that he said. I think he a Hall of Famer. I feel like anybody who made it to that big stage and beat them big name champions is a Hall of Famer. He did something that nobody else done. So, you know.
Like technically he's a 3-time champ because he won 3 belts.
Yeah. He was unified. Wasn't he unified?
Yeah, he was unified. It was just one. He was one away.
You can't say a person is not a Hall of Famer if he's unified. Once you unified, you made them history. I feel like once you become a world champion, you made them history books.
Yeah, once you become a world champion, you make the history books, of course. But I think
unified is Hall of Fame.
You think so?
Yeah.
Guaranteed?
Yeah, because you got all the belts.
Contention in the aftermath of Crawford's remarks is a level of competition Errol Spence has encountered when contrasted to Crawford's own resume, and Spence fans say his path to the top was significantly more difficult, pointing out that he regularly faced high-level opponents throughout his career, and several commentators have emphasized that achieving uncontested status entails more than simply unifying titles, and it's about showing your worth in front of the strongest boxers in the world.
Spence will be in the Hall of Fame.
Right now? No, how?
Then, Bud, what you do? Because, Bud, Errol is your one, and you just shitted on him. I remember you dissing me on X because you want and deserve respect. And all of us are here to give it to you. But when you go shitting on another fantastic fighter who happens to be the marquee opponent on your resume, then brother, people gonna start flipping tables and they gonna start looking at you. Bottom line, Errol Spence is great and you whipped his ass. Sean Porter is great and you whipped that ass. And what you're daring to do to take on Canelo Alvarez.
Terence Crawford has spoken frankly about the rematch option in his contract, with Errol Spence admitting that a follow-up fight is still on the table. And at the same time, he emphasized that no final decision has been taken on what happens next, and fans are waiting to see if Spence will get the chance to rewrite the story, especially considering how one-sided the initial encounter appeared, and a second encounter could be Spence's opportunity to demonstrate improvement, make the necessary modifications, and return with a stronger, more competitive performance.
His accomplishments aren't great enough. You have people jumping in my comments talking about 2-time undisputed and all this shit. When it comes to being great, it's not about just becoming undisputed. It's how you become undisputed, how you become champion, who you face. Because hell, Devin Haney fought Kambosos to become undisputed in one swoop. What? That makes him as great as Ali? Hell no. So if you say that Errol Spence isn't a Hall of Famer, bud, we start looking at jobs. Let's talk about Spence. He got the belts and unified, but who did he take the belts from and what did he try to do with you? Spence's road that you're shitting on.
Boxing legend Shane Mosley has spoken out on the potential of a rematch, delivering a harsh appraisal of how he sees it unfolding. And even if Errol Spence makes major progress, Mosley feels Terence Crawford will win again, and from his perspective, the disparity demonstrated in the first fight was simply too large, and Mosley went on to argue that Spence will be better served by devoting his focus on recuperating, restoring momentum, and redefining the next chapter of his career rather than an instant rematch.
It's in the contract, so it's not if I'm open to it or not. It's, you know, what's in the contract. And Errol gave me an opportunity and a shot at becoming the first male boxer undisputed, you know, in any division in the 4-belt era. And I honor, you know, that. And if he was to come to me or activate his rematch, then
Crawford's trainer Brian Bo McIntyre backed up Shane Mosley's prediction, saying he expects no change if the two fight again, and McIntyre anticipated that the second fight would go the same way as the first, with Crawford winning. And he emphasized that Crawford's dominance in their first meeting was not a fluke or a one-time performance, but rather a reflection of his skill, preparation, and overall mastery.
He's ready. Right when I seen that, I said Crawford wins. his movement, everything was, he wins. It doesn't matter if Spence was not strong or strong. He had more of the stuff to win that fight. And Crawford is a game player. He's gonna come, he coming to win. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I still say Crawford anyway, but I feel bad that we didn't see the true Spence fight Crawford. If that makes any sense. I just think that Crawford has more rhythm, more movement, more stuff. And not just having more movement, more stuff, he has the power and everything just to be one of those great fighters. He has everything. And if you have Spence is not one-dimensional, but in that fight, he was really one-dimensional, really stiff. And if they looked like they had really a lot of problems trying to get down to his weight, didn't have enough time to work on stuff they need to work on to, attack Crawford or to do anything to Crawford. And then when they got in the ring, he was so weak.
Roy Jones Jr. has weighed in with advice for Crawford, suggesting two distinct paths forward, and he advised that Crawford either fight Spence again right away or take an interim fight before returning to face him. And according to Jones, selecting another opponent first could be a wise tactic, and Crawford can maintain his rhythm and momentum while also having more freedom in planning his next big challenge.
It's just immediate rematch clause?
I don't know if it's gonna be at 54 or 47, but I'm sure he's probably gonna push the weight up. But there's not gonna be no change in the decision. The performance still is gonna be the same. Might be even a little bit better. So he might want to watch out before he.
Stephen A. Smith has joined the talk about a prospective rematch, advising Crawford to wait at least a year before returning to the ring with Spence, and Smith stated that rushing into a second bout might not benefit Crawford, and that giving both fighters time to mature would result in a more exciting and competitive encounter. And in his opinion, a delayed rematch might raise the stakes and result in a more balanced and compelling game for spectators. And matter of fact, let me make a plea over the International Digital.
Crawford want to challenge himself to be great. Let him try to be great, So, I'm with it. So, I'll be going for Bud, if he fight Canelo, I'll be going for him. I mean, I don't know if he gonna win or lose, but I'll definitely be going for Crawford. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off.
Yeah.
He's chasing greatness, so why not? Canelo came up to 175 and all that and fought Kovalev and fought the other guy too. So I mean, if he can do it, and he started at 147. So I mean, if he doing it.
Avoiding a bout with Errol Spence Jr. has stirred controversy, and even though Crawford's dominant victory over Spence garnered him enormous accolades around the boxing world, Spence entered the fight as the undisputed champion, and Crawford's decisive performance solidified his status among the sport's best. And despite his evident talent and mastery in the ring, Crawford's recent words have sparked speculation about his character, and many fans and experts who once praised him are reconsidering their opinions, believing that his behavior outside the ring demonstrates a lack of respect and sportsmanship.
Or do you think this is kind of like the cherry on top, and after this he should more or less retire on top?
Bud has two options. A, he can continue going up in weight, see how far he can go. I think he said already 54 is his max, so he could campaign that going to 54, maybe doing a rematch, or like I said, let Errol get himself back together first when it makes more sense, then do a rematch. You understand me? So for me, to let Errol get himself together first, then do a rematch is much better. To fight him right now, it's not good because...
Despite the surrounding drama, excitement for a rematch remains high, and many supporters believe that if Spence gains weight and strength, he will do substantially better in a second meeting. And a battle at 160 pounds might change the variables, allowing Spence to use more power and endurance, making the clash more balanced and difficult than their previous encounter.
Make a plea over the international digital airwaves of YouTube. Let me make a plea right now to Terence Crawford. I understand you just beat him. You beat him thoroughly. You're the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, the WBO, the WBA, the WBC, the IBF titles, but you hugged him after the fight for a reason. I am making a plea to Terence Crawford. Even if you elect to give Errol Spence Jr. a rematch, please do not do this for at least a year. Please don't do that. Y'all are cool with one another. I'm begging you, my brother. I'm begging you. Because I know you got love, and I'm begging Errol Spence Jr., as good as you are, you were just outclassed. I say that respectfully because I got mad respect for Errol Spence Jr. Please.
Mo to Bob Arum has weighed in claiming that Errol Spence may have been battling with physical issues that contributed to his loss to Crawford. And at the same time, Arum praised Crawford's imposing performance, admitting that his dominance was predictable given his talent. And he went on to forecast that a rematch in a higher weight class would most likely produce the same result.
Glad you're getting your flowers, and I hope the biggest of bags come your way in these next few years with how things play out for you, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Because you earned, bro. You earned it, bro.
And you gave us, listen, entertainment. You know what I mean? From beginning to end, it was a real display. So we appreciate you taking time, bro.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, man. I appreciate it.
Before we go, how soon will we get the rematch? Do you know that calendar? You know how that calendar is gonna play out?
Probably if it happened, it'd probably be the end of this year.
That's soon.
The next, yeah.
Like a December situation, probably something like that.
Yeah.
There you go. Terence Bud Crawford, the undisputed welterweight champion of the world.
If Bud's ready at 68, then the EJ rematch at 54 and 60. And how exciting would it be to watch Errol Spence he walks at 190. I'm 185 pounds right now. I'm 5'11". To think of me cutting, and I train, to think of me cutting 50 pounds ever is fucking crazy. To think that Errol Spence Jr. walks at 190 and fights at 47 is crazy. To now think that a rematch could happen at 60, god damn, what are we talking about? Then you get to see EJ loading up on that double jab of his. You get to see muscled up a little bit. He'll be a bit more durable. Then we get to see Bud's magistry, Bud's footwork. There's so many storylines. So I'll end it with this. I've ranted a bit too far. For all you those out there saying nobody wants to see this too, it's a whitewash, it won't be competitive, you guys don't know boxing.
Crawford to victory. And the clue that I saw was that of all the fights, I think at 38 fights, of all those fights, he only fought 2 southpaws. So what is that telling you? That's telling you that he has trouble with southpaw, because to have only 2 out of 38 fights, it means that his people or himself have looked to avoid southpaws. Now, Terence's big strength is that he fights equally well from either side. So instead of opening up as a right-hander, which he usually does, and then switching to southpaw, he only fought Spence as a southpaw, and Spence couldn't handle it, particularly when Crawford, who's ambidextrous, and now his right hand is his jab, is throwing it with force and hurting Spence. So once I saw Terence come out as a southpaw, in my mind, I thought, hey, the fight's over.
Were you surprised, though, by how dominant he was?
No, because Spence can't fight a lefty, and nobody even mentioned that. He can't fight a southpaw. If Crawford had fought him 5 or 6 rounds as an orthodox fighter, it would have been a different fight.
You know, given just the performance that he had and now the attention that he's getting and the recognition, how do you feel? What emotions come to mind, seeing that, hey, he's finally getting his just due when so many years a lot of people try to dismiss him?
Well, I don't know if anybody dismissed him because of his ability. They dismissed him because of his drawing power or what have you. Terence was I consider Terence a great fighter before the Spence fight, and I consider him a great fighter after the fight. You know, and his dominance didn't surprise me. He is the full boat. Now, what will eventually catch up with him catches up with all of them, and that's father time. He is 35, going on 36. So at a particular point in time, not now, but
adjustment you were able to find, you would have found it sooner. You're battered up, and let's leave this night where it is and move forward and become stronger from this night. And I just thought that if it had continued, that it might take away some of the things he may be able to do in and out of the ring, because as the saying goes, you never leave the ring the same way you went in, and it truly is the case, unless of course you are Terence Bud Crawford, who had amazing defense and an amazing offensive showing on fight night, and you don't get hit, you know. Yeah, now you know this firsthand because you fought both of these guys before. Your dad was your coach, so you had a strong relationship there. Now, if you were coaching Spence, would you have thrown in the towel for him? When would you have done that? I do believe that I heard he asked Errol one time if he wanted to continue, and so I do know that at a small capacity, at the least, they contemplated throwing in the towel. And I think that Derrick James is smart enough to know, hey, something has to happen. I just think that they didn't want to go, for the sake of words, go out like that. And no one does, but realism has to play a major role, especially in the sport of boxing, because realism means if I haven't won more than 6 rounds at this point, I can't even get a draw. And then he had been knocked down already. You have to look at the realism, man. You're not going to win this fight unless you get a knockout. You haven't landed one clean shot or numerous clean shots the entire night. Is that punch going to land? And when you
particular point in time, not now, but down the road, former champion Shawn Porter, who has already battled Spence, believes a rematch may be in Spence's benefit, and Porter, having observed Spence's power firsthand, is convinced that with the right changes, Spence will return sharper and more formidable. And while many underestimate Spence, Porter believes he still possesses the skill, strategy, and resilience required to confront Crawford and potentially win a rematch.